A candid, raw account from a husband who uncovers his wife's secret affair. From subtle signs to devastating discoveries, the story follows his emotional journey through betrayal, lies, confrontation, and the difficult choices that follow. Told with brutal honesty and unexpected twists, this is a story about trust shattered, love tested, and the hard path toward healing or walking away. Hey Reddit. I never thought I'd be here, typing this out, but here we go. I'm a 35-year-old guy, married for about 7 years to Lisa, not her real name, obviously. We have 2 kids, a decent life, a house in the suburbs, you know, the usual happy family setup. Or so I thought. For a while, things seemed fine on the surface. We had our ups and downs, like any couple, but nothing I thought was deal-breaker stuff. She worked as a project manager, pretty busy job, and I'm in IT, so we both had stressful weeks but generally made time for each other and the kids. But about 3 months ago, I started noticing weird little things. She suddenly got super secretive with her phone, always locking it, pulling it away when I came near, stuff like that. At first, I shrugged it off, told myself maybe she just wanted some privacy. But then came the late nights at work that felt suspicious. Like, really suspicious. She also started snapping at me over dumb stuff, like I was annoying her just by breathing. That was new. And she was less affectionate, way more bitchy, sorry, but that's honestly how it felt. I chalked it up to stress, but something didn't sit right. I tried to talk to her about it once or twice, she'd brush me off, say I was overthinking or being paranoid. Classic, right? I didn't push because I thought I might just be losing it. I didn't want to be that guy accusing his wife of nonsense. But deep down, something was gnawing at me. The gut feeling was strong, and I started keeping my eyes open without letting her notice. I wish I hadn't. Okay, so here's where things went from just a weird vibe to full-on nightmare mode. One Friday night, Lisa said she had to stay late at work again. Kids were asleep, and I was just chilling with some beer and scrolling on my phone. I wasn't planning to snoop, really, but I accidentally noticed her phone buzzing on the kitchen counter. It lit up with a message preview. I'm not proud, but I glanced. The name on the screen wasn't someone I knew, it was a guy's name. Not a coworker I'd heard about. The message was flirty, something like, "Can't wait to see you tonight, winky face." My heart just stopped. I tried to tell myself it might be innocent, maybe some dumb joke, but something inside screamed otherwise. I waited a little while, and then Lisa left, telling me she was going to the office to finish up a project. The second she left, I looked through her phone. I know, I crossed a line, but I was desperate. I found dozens of texts and messages from this guy, let's call him Mark. They were talking about meeting up, sending each other selfies, calling each other pet names. Some of the messages were time-stamped from earlier that day, right when she said she was at work. Then came the photos, pictures of them together at a hotel, from the night before. She wasn't just cheating, she was full-on hiding a side of her life from me. I felt my world collapsing. The sick twist? She was acting all normal and bitchy at home, but here she was, lying through her teeth, living a double life. I tried calling her while she was out, but she didn't pick up. When she finally got home, I was sitting in the living room with her phone open, staring at the screen, waiting for the chaos to start. Okay, so here's where things went from just a weird vibe to full-on nightmare mode. One Friday night, Lisa said she had to stay late at work again. Kids were asleep, and I was just chilling with some beer and scrolling on my phone. I wasn't planning to snoop, really, but I accidentally noticed her phone buzzing on the kitchen counter. It lit up with a message preview. I'm not proud, but I glanced. The name on the screen wasn't someone I knew, it was a guy's name. Not a coworker I'd heard about. The message was flirty, something like, "Can't wait to see you tonight, winky face." My heart just stopped. I tried to tell myself it might be innocent, maybe some dumb joke, but something inside screamed otherwise. I waited a little while, and then Lisa left, telling me she was going to the office to finish up a project. The second she left, I looked through her phone. I know, I crossed a line, but I was desperate. I found dozens of texts and messages from this guy, let's call him Mark. They were talking about meeting up, sending each other selfies, calling each other pet names. Some of the messages were time-stamped from earlier that day, right when she said she was at work. Then came the photos, pictures of them together at a hotel, from the night before. She wasn't just cheating, she was full-on hiding a side of her life from me. I felt my world collapsing. The sick twist? She was acting all normal and bitchy at home, but here she was, lying through her teeth, living a double life. I tried calling her while she was out, but she didn't pick up. When she finally got home, I was sitting in the living room with her phone open, staring at the screen, waiting for the chaos to start. So Lisa walks in, sees me sitting there with her phone out on the table, and instantly knows something's up. The look on her face? Pure panic mixed with that usual attitude, like, how dare you accuse me, kind of vibe. I asked her straight up, who's Mark? Why are you texting him like that? Why did you lie about staying late at work? She immediately went full-on defensive mode. You're crazy, she snapped. I don't know who that is. That phone's probably hacked or something. You're paranoid and need to get help. I wasn't buying it. I showed her the texts, the photos from the hotel, everything. She scoffed, rolled her eyes, and then dropped the classic "you're just trying to ruin me because you're insecure." Then came the excuses, it was just some stupid fling, it didn't mean anything, you've been ignoring me lately, so what did you expect, and my favorite, I didn't want to hurt you. But the lies kept piling up. When I pressed for the truth, she flipped it around on me like I was the bad guy for snooping and not trusting her. She cried, yelled, slammed doors, and then somehow made it seem like I was the one tearing the marriage apart. That night was a roller coaster. Part of me wanted to scream, another part just wanted to crawl into a hole and disappear. After that confrontation, I was a mess. I kept replaying everything in my head, the lies, the sneaky texts, her cold attitude. How could she do this? How long had this been going on? At first, I was furious. I wanted to yell, break things, make her feel the pain I was drowning in. But that fury quickly turned into this deep, hollow sadness that hit me like a brick wall. I couldn't eat properly for days. I'd catch myself staring blankly at nothing, trying to process how my perfect marriage was actually a house of cards. The worst part? Feeling so betrayed by someone I trusted more than anyone. I kept wondering if there was something I missed, signs I ignored, moments I brushed off. And that guilt? It stabbed me relentlessly, even though I knew it wasn't my fault. Sleep was impossible. Every noise made me jump, thinking she might be sneaking around again. The paranoia was insane. I even started doubting my own judgment. Was I imagining things? No, I wasn't. The evidence was right there. Emotionally, I was all over the place, anger, confusion, sadness, heartbreak, and a crushing loneliness even though she was still in the house.
After days of sleepless nights and non-stop thinking, I realized I had to make a choice. Either try to salvage this mess or walk away and save what was left of my sanity. I thought about the kids, the years we shared, the good times buried under all the crap. I honestly wanted to believe she could change, that maybe we could work through it. But every time I looked at her, all I saw was those lies and that betrayal. So, I sat her down one evening and told her straight up, "You broke my trust, Lisa. If you want to fix this, it's going to take a hell of a lot more than apologies and excuses." She said all the right words at first, but I wasn't blind anymore. I told her we'd start couples therapy, not just for us, but for the kids too. I wanted to give it a shot, but with very clear boundaries. At the same time, I made it clear I wouldn't be a doormat. Any more lies, and I'm out. I wasn't going to let her drag me through hell again. It was a tense truce, but at least it was a start.
So we started therapy, reluctantly at first. Lisa was defensive, but I tried to keep an open mind. It was brutal hearing her version of things, and even more brutal realizing how much she tried to shift blame onto me. Turns out, she painted me as some controlling, uncaring jerk who drove her away. That stung, but I stayed focused on the goal, figuring out if we had any chance left. Therapy uncovered some real issues: communication breakdown, unmet needs, and yeah, her selfishness. She admitted the affair was a huge mistake but didn't exactly throw herself at my feet begging for forgiveness. More like, I messed up, but you're not perfect either. It felt like a war zone most sessions, but slowly, some honesty started creeping in. She stopped lying about small things, which was progress. Me? I learned to speak up more, to express pain without exploding. Still, the wound was raw. Some days felt like we were moving forward, others like we were stuck in quicksand. One of the hardest parts? Watching how all this mess affected our kids. They were confused, suddenly there were tense silences, angry whispers, and my mood swings I couldn't hide no matter how hard I tried. Lisa tried to act normal around them, but the stress showed. Our home, once warm and safe, felt cold and unpredictable. I hated that they had to grow up in this environment, with their parents barely talking without snapping or giving each other dirty looks. It broke my heart, but I also knew I couldn't keep pretending everything was okay. Sometimes the kids would ask why mommy and daddy seemed upset or why she wasn't as happy as before. I struggled to find the right words, wanting to protect them but also be honest in a way they could understand. I realized that if we wanted to save the family, it wasn't just about Lisa and me, it was about creating a stable place for those kids. That pressure made everything even more overwhelming. Just when I thought things couldn't get any worse, life threw me a curveball. One night, I got a text from Mark, yeah, that Mark, but it wasn't from Lisa's phone. It was from a burner number. The message was creepy: you don't know the half of it. She's still lying to you. At first, I thought it was a prank. Then paranoia set in. I confronted Lisa about it, and she flipped out, accusing me of stalking her, invading her privacy again, and letting this ruin what little we have left. But the truth? I found out she hadn't just been cheating on me, she'd been lying about where she was going, who she was seeing, and even how long she'd been involved with Mark. Turns out it was months longer than I initially thought. And the biggest shock? Mark wasn't some random fling. He was someone Lisa had known before we got married, a friend she never told me about. It felt like the floor dropped beneath me all over again. I was drowning in lies. Finding out Mark was someone from before our marriage hit me harder than anything else. It wasn't just cheating, it felt like the whole foundation of trust was poisoned from the start. I confronted Lisa again, calm this time but deadly serious. She tried to deflect, said it was complicated, and that she never meant for it to get this bad. I realized then that no matter how much I wanted to understand or forgive, there were parts of her past she'd kept locked away, secrets that made me question everything about our life together. I felt so stupid for not seeing it sooner. All the bitchy attitude, the lies, the secretive behavior, it all suddenly made sense in a horrible way. I spent a lot of nights wrestling with the question, can you really rebuild something when the cracks were hidden for so long? Or is some damage too deep? After uncovering everything, I hit an emotional wall. The anger was constant, but beneath it was a crushing exhaustion, like my heart was bleeding and I had nothing left to give. I kept asking myself, how do you forgive someone who not only betrayed you but lied about it for so long? How do you rebuild trust when the very foundation was a lie? There were days I wanted to scream and break everything, and others where I just wanted to curl up and disappear. I felt betrayed, humiliated, and more alone than ever, even when Lisa was in the same room. Yet, despite everything, a small part of me wanted to try. For the kids, for the years we invested, and for the possibility that maybe people can change. But that hope came with so many conditions: honesty, transparency, real effort, not just empty words. After that emotional tipping point, we both agreed to try rebuilding, but damn, it was a rough ride. Lisa tried to be more open. She handed over her phone voluntarily, started sharing more about her day, even told me when she needed to be out late. It felt like progress, but trust wasn't something that magically came back overnight. Every little thing became a test. A delayed text or a suspicious glance could send me spiraling into doubt. And Lisa? She sometimes snapped, saying I was being controlling or never letting her forget her mistakes. Therapy sessions continued, but sometimes felt like reliving the worst moments over and over. I learned to communicate better, to say when I felt hurt without yelling. She learned to admit when she was wrong, though not always gracefully. We had moments where it felt like we were actually moving forward, laughing at a joke, having a normal conversation, or simply sitting together without tension. But then there were nights I'd lie awake wondering if it was all just a facade, if the next betrayal was waiting around the corner. Despite the small steps forward, there were nights I wanted to give up entirely. The trust was fragile, maybe more like shattered glass taped back together. Lisa would get impatient with my suspicion. "Why can't you just move on?" she'd say, sometimes with that same biting tone I remember from before. I'd get angry, snap back, and then feel terrible afterward because the anger wasn't just at her, it was at myself for letting this happen. There were moments when the weight of it all felt unbearable. I questioned if this was really worth saving or if I was just clinging to a broken idea of what marriage should be. The hardest part? Trying to keep a stable home for the kids while my world was falling apart inside. But somehow, we kept going. Therapy, talks, small efforts, a messy, painful process with no guarantees. After months of therapy, fights, tears, and soul-searching, we reached a crossroads. Lisa committed to real change, no more lies, more honesty, and consistent effort. She started setting boundaries with Mark and cut contact. It wasn't perfect, but it was progress. For my part, I learned to let go of some control and started rebuilding trust, bit by bit. The road was long, and the scars remained, but the anger softened. We decided to stay together, not because everything was magically fixed, but because we wanted to try for the sake of the kids and what we had built. That said, the past never fully disappears. I still struggle sometimes, but we're working on rebuilding a new foundation, one with clearer communication and real accountability. Looking back, I've realized a few things. 1. Trust is fragile. Once broken, it's a long, hard road to rebuild. It takes honest effort from both sides. 2. Denial and lies only make it worse. Lisa's initial lies dragged this out and made healing almost impossible at first. 3. Communication is everything. We both had to learn how to talk, listen, and be vulnerable without blame. 4. Self-worth matters. I had to remind myself I deserved honesty and respect, not excuses or manipulation. 5. Don't ignore your gut. Those early weird vibes weren't paranoia, they were warning signs. 6. The kids always come first. Keeping their world as stable as possible was the hardest but most important part. If you're going through something similar, know this: it's okay to feel hurt, angry, and lost. Take your time. Don't be afraid to seek support, therapy, friends, anyone. And remember, you don't have to stay if the damage is too deep. Sometimes walking away is the strongest thing you can do. So yeah, this whole experience has been a brutal, eye-opening journey. I never thought my marriage would survive something like this, but here we are, still fighting, still trying. If anything, I've learned that love isn't always enough. It takes trust, respect, and real commitment to make it through the darkest times. I'm sharing my story here because I hope someone else going through this mess knows they're not alone. It's painful, confusing, and heartbreaking, but healing is possible, whether that means rebuilding or walking away. Thanks for reading my rant. If anyone has advice or has been through something similar, I'm all ears.